You can put it on the back of your car. You can put it on the back of your car. I have to have a good lead. How about this? Cheap. Let's be either ready to either sell or rent. One or the other. And there's one more, you guys. They must want to talk to me. Wouldn't that be nice? You will have people call you. It's so effective. You will have people calling you, asking you if you take over other kinds of payments as well. The 7 big hurdles that I find that are hurdles for me. These are the places, the things that cause the phone conversation with the homeowner to break down. And listening to you guys and listening to some of my one-on-one students who tell me what their situations are when I'm working on stuff with them, they're having the same. It's the same 7. Okay, not all of them, but everybody has 1 or 2. I bet that's an issue. Okay. I have determined there's 7 areas that we get hung up. 7 places in that conversation that we get hung up. Okay. So let me just share with you what those 7 are. And here's what they are. Number 1 is we forget or we skip getting the motivation. We skip getting that. Okay, because remember, we have a conversation going with the homeowner. We start it with the agenda, but then we move into the qualification stage. So we've got the conversation going, and now we're going to start talking. You know, we've gotten their permission to ask questions. They said yes. Okay, an agenda would be something like this. Hey, I'm Justin. I'm a real estate investor. I saw your property online. I wanted to call you and ask you a few questions. You could ask me a few, and if it's not a good fit, you could fire me. That's the agenda. That's opening up. Okay. After that, it's imperative that you start getting into the motivation. Okay. And you get into the motivation by asking those questions: why, money, timing, commitment. Okay. So why is this so important? And why is this a pitfall when we've skipped this? When we don't turn the screw a little bit. Mateo, you have your hand raised. Go ahead, speak up, sir.
Yeah, sometimes not that we skip the motivation, but we don't go so much in depth on find it out, because when they say, "Well, I have to move for a job," oh, okay, you have to move for a job. So we don't dig deeper.
Right. Great point. Great point. So some students of mine have a problem asking the question, why are you selling your house today? Why are you selling? They're asking the why question. Okay. You guys have heard me say it many times like this. How long have you owned the house? And why would you be wanting to sell it now? Okay. That's one way of doing it. Another way you've heard me do it here in the call lab is sometimes I'll say, is this a rental property for you? Okay, that doesn't even sound like the same question, but it kind of elicits the same answer. Oh no, this is not a rental property for me. I live there. Oh, you live there? Wow. Why would you want to be selling your house? You must be getting something bigger somewhere. What's going on? Okay. That's a little more disarming, I think. Okay. So if you're taking notes, those are some short, pithy answers I use. Okay. That's how I ask the questions. How do you get to that question, the why, which is a hard question. I get nervous sometimes when I get to this why. That's how I do it. Okay. And then Mateo has a great point in that whatever their answer is probably a surface level answer. Oh yeah, I'm going to go buy that big house and we're going to move and it's just time to sell. Okay. It's just time to sell. That doesn't, you know. So it doesn't sound like you guys are in much of a hurry. See, so what I'm doing is I'm turning the screw a little bit here, because they're never going to give me their motivation when I ask them the why question. They're going to give me a surface level motivation. Okay. I've got to learn the skill of asking some follow-up questions, coming up with some follow-up questions that get them to dig a little deeper, because remember, prospects only have 2, maybe 3 good lies in them. Okay. So if you say, why are you selling? Oh, it's just time to sell. That's a lie. Lie number 1. It's just time to sell, you say. I How long have you lived there? I've lived there 10 years. Well, it must feel like home. Why would you want to sell your home? Well, we need to downsize. Let's lie number 2. Okay, but we're getting closer. Okay. You need to downsize. Oh, I see. Are you guys kind of in a financial pinch with the payment? Okay. Oh gosh, that's a hard question to ask, but I did. I went there. And you know what? Yeah, that's what it was. That's the truth. They need to downsize because the payment's too much now because she got laid off. Okay. During the pandemic or whatever. All right. So, but you're not going to get that just by asking that one why question. You're going to have to turn the screws a little bit. And that's just human nature. Okay. Because no, they don't know you. You don't know them. You're not friends. So when you call them and you say, hey, why would you be wanting to sell the house? They're not just going to open up to you and be like, oh, well, blah, blah, and this and the divorce. And, I was really sad about it. And last night I drank too much. And okay, every now and then you'll run into one like that. But for the most part, you'll have to ask some follow-up questions to kind of get the real answer. All right. So practice that skill. That is one of the 7 pitfalls. Not turning the screw to really get a good, true answer. Okay. It's going to be a need or a greed. Okay. They did not wake up this morning and decide on a whim, I'm going to list my property for sale on Zillow. It was not just something I just felt like doing it. I don't really know why. I was taking a dump this morning, had my phone in my hand, and I don't know, Zillow ad popped up. Next thing I knew, I was listing my property for sale. It's never happened. They've got reasons. Okay. So right here is where you got to get into what the reasons may be. It's a need or a greed. Okay. What's a good example of a greed, real quick, before we go to number 2? What's a good example of we know a need would be like maybe they got payment problems. They got 2 payments now, or maybe it's too much, or, something. They got
Agreed is I want to buy. I got this guy actually tell me this. I want to buy a plane, airplane. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's a great, yeah. And you'll meet people that want to buy all kinds of things. They want to retire, move to Florida and all that. See, now we're kind of borderlining on, well, this is a greed more than it is a need. And that's okay. You can do the same conversation with a greed that you would with a need, but now you know his reason for all of this. Okay. So you can totally address all of that later in the conversation. So, Muhammad, you have your hand raised, sir. Just go ahead and speak up.
Yeah, Justin. So I have a seller right now that we've been talking for like a week, and I've sent him the contract. And suddenly, from nowhere, it says I must guarantee the rent. I'm like, we never talked about that. We never talked about that. So where did that come from? So I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, what's going on here? It's like I must guarantee the rent. If we must move forward, I must guarantee the rent. I'm like, so that's where we are right now. He's with the contract. That's all he needs to do right now. He signed the contract. So I'm like, what's going on?
Okay. So, I would ask, we'll talk more about this type of thing here in a later subsequent number, but what I recommend is asking the guy, hey, I'm sorry, say this like this. I'm not an attorney. Hey, dude, I hear what you're saying. I'm not an attorney though. So I'm not real sure exactly how you want me to word that on this agreement, because I know you want me to change the agreement to read something. Will you tell me exactly what you want it to read so that I'm sure that I understand it? I can put it down here on the agreement. Okay.
Okay.
First of all, you got to get clarity on what the hell he's talking about. Okay. Because a guarantee can be a lot of things. All right. What is a guarantee? Well, if you watch Tommy Boy, the movie, it's somebody taking a dump in a box and putting guaranteed on it. Right. Right. Okay. So, yeah, get a real clear understanding of what the guy wants. And if he says, hey, I want, if that guy doesn't pay the rent, I want you to pay the rent. Okay. Then he's telling you, I'm only going to move forward if you keep this as a sandwich. Okay, which you could do. You just
I
got.
did. I
You did.
gave him the sandwich, but I don't want to do a sandwich. I want to do assignment. But I made the
Oh,
sandwich look, yeah, I want to do an assignment. But I made
yeah.
the sandwich look so terrible that he chose the assignment actually.
Okay. Well, sounds like you
Yeah,
did a good job then. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Well,
I made
good.
the sandwich look so terrible. He chose the assignment. So I'm surprised that he said I must guarantee the rent. I said, okay, if that's the case, if you're uncomfortable with me doing it for 90 days, let's do it 30 days. After 30 days, the contract is void. He said, no, even for that 30 days, I must guarantee the rent. I'm like, nah, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. You gotta just tie in and negotiate, right? And that's what you're
Yeah.
doing, Mohammed. So I think you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track. And you're doing what I would do.
Yeah.
There's no perfect recipe or magic words for it, but I think you're on the right track. If I
Okay.
understand, I mean, you already got him to sign it, right?
No, he hasn't signed it yet. I've signed. I've sent him. I've sent the document to DocuSign.
Okay.
I sent him the contract on DocuSign. It's just for him to sign it, and that's it.
How long has it been since he hasn't
Just
signed it?
I signed it yesterday.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. All right. I wouldn't freak out just quite yet, but I'd call him
Okay.
tomorrow. I'd call him
Yeah.
tomorrow and say,
Yeah,
hey,
that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow.
yeah, turn the screws a little bit tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, number 2 here. These are the 7 pitfalls. Number 2 is you have to always be willing to talk about cash first. All right. All right. So, in other words, on our agenda, qualification stage, and closing stage, okay, you're going to come up with homeowners every single time, no matter what your text message said. Okay, even on mine, which are very clear, and in my text messages, a lot of them say, "Can you do something creative?" Even on that, every single time I get into the agenda, and then I go into the qualification stage, and I try to figure out what a motivation level is, right? And if it's something that sounds like it's a motivated type thing or something I might be able to have fun working on, then I'll try to move into the closing stage. And I never, ever, ever just right out of the blue go, hey, so here's my offer. I'd like to lease that place from you for 24 months and then buy it at full price. What say you? Okay. I never come out with it first, ever. Because they're always wanting to know if I could do it cash. Okay. And because they really want cash. They didn't list their property for sale, rent to own, or nothing. They listed it for sale for cash. So even though they're flexible, they want to make sure that cash is not something you could do first. That's just what their psyche is like. Okay. So it makes sense to get to the end of the conversation with them and tell them something like this. Now, this is the short, pithy answer that you could steal from me. Mr. Homeowner or Miss Homeowner, I understand you're asking this much for the property, and I wish I could give it to you. I really do. Okay. But as you know, I told you I'm an investor, and that means I have to buy things at a profit. I don't know how I could buy it at that price and still make a profit. Do you? They never have a good answer because I can't make a profit at buying it at that price. So then I say, so let's call this over and done. Let's take the cash thing off the table and call it over. But real quick before I go, if I were to offer you that full price and not beat you up at all, I think there's a way we could do this. If you would be okay with now lease options, letting me rent the place for 24 to 36 months and then give you the full price. Is that something that might work for you or maybe not? It's almost like your Hail Mary, right? Kind of what it feels like a little bit to me sometimes. But I find it necessary because they always want to clear off that cash question first. So I always clear off the cash question. Some people are like, well, do you give them a lowball number? No, I don't. Because it's only going to make them mad. when you know that this person's got a house that's on the market it's on the MLS, or not on the MLS, on Zillow for 297, and it says it's worth about 275. Is that guy going to sell it to you for 175? There's not a chance in hell. Okay, so why even play that game, Mr. Homeowner? I'm an investor. If I were going to make an offer to you, it would be pretty low, because remember, I have to buy something and make a profit on it. I don't know how I could give you what you're asking and still make a profit. Do you? Okay, you don't? All right. Well, let's just call it over and done with then. But real quick before I go, if I were to not beat you up on purchase price, if I were to not beat you up at all, and in fact, if I were to take real good care of everything and got you out of there and you didn't have to worry about nothing no more, could we do something a little creative and let me rent it from you for a couple years before I buy it, or maybe not? Okay, that's it. That's my whole pitch. That's me pitching right there. I do that every single time, like practically word for word. So if you want to get it word for word, go for it. Muhammad, did you have your hand up, dude? Or is that from the last time?
That's probably from the last time.
Okay, no worries, man. All right, so any questions about that one? Be willing to talk about cash first. Okay, any questions? Number 3 here, you got to know how to transition, which we just did. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. Transition to lease options, right? Or a creative is what you're doing. Going from a cash offer mentality to a creative kind of offer mentality with them. All right, what's the next one? The next one is, yes, how to explain lease options. Okay. Inevitably, you're going to feel in the conversation that you have to explain what you're doing. Okay. And many of us will go into default mode, which is that explainer mode guy. Like, here's what it sounds like. Here's what it sounds like for us. Yeah. See, here's what we do is, I work with these people that they have, we call them tenant buyers, and they've got good, they're good people. They got good jobs, but they got bad credit. Well, I mean, they got a little ding on their credit, and after all, they're trying to buy a house, and we're trying to help them do that. See, all right. That's what default mode sounds like. That's exactly what default mode sounds like, and that will blow up the phone call every single time. Can someone tell me why? There's 2 or 3 major reasons why that will blow up the phone call every time. Somebody tell me.
That's cringy, man. I will like. Sounds like the guy doesn't know what it's talking about.
Well,
Get pitchy.
Yeah.
Start sounding like you're pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Salesman.
Yeah.
Salesman mode, as you said.
Oh, yeah. And there's legal problems with it too, because you sound like you're representing buyers now. Are you a mortgage? Are you a mortgage lender or a realtor or something? Or no, you're not. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so how do we explain lease options without getting into all that? Okay, well, how we do it is we say this. This is your pithy, short response. Anytime they ask any question about how this works, or if I'm going to live there, or who's going to live there, or whatever it's going to be, okay, here's how I respond every single time. Mr. Homeowner, yeah, here's what I want to do. Remember I said I'm an investor when we first started talking? Yeah, so here's what I want to do. I want to put some good people in there, and I want to make a little bit of money doing it, but I know this needs to be a great solution for you. Is that unreasonable, or can we go ahead and talk about doing this? That is my lease options explanation. That's how it works. I'm going to put some good people in there. I'm going to make a little money doing it, and this needs to be a good solution for you. Do I have a commitment from you to talk about it? Are you entertained with the notion enough that we can move forward in our discussions or not? Does he really need to know the background and pedigree of the people that you work with? I mean, hell, do you really even work with anybody? Fuck no, you don't. Okay, so it's just more honest to say, hey, here's what I want to do. I want to put some good people in there. I want to make a little money doing it, but I also want this to be a great solution for you. Is that something you think we can talk about? Yeah. So somebody throw an objection at me if you can think of one where they're asking you how this works. Yeah, how does this work? Uh, or here's the one I hear a lot too. Hey, are you going to be living in the house? Oh no. Let me explain lease options to you real quick. Here's what I want to do. I want to put some, I told you I'm an investor, right? Yeah. Well, I want to put some good people in there and I want to make a little bit of money doing it, but I also know this needs to be a great solution for you. Is that something we can talk about doing or maybe not?
They're gonna tear my house up.
So here we go. He's moved on to number 5, which is you have to beat the biggest objections. And the biggest objections are always what he just said right there, which is tear up my house, right? And what's the other biggest objection?
How many of this have you done?
Well, that's not the one I was thinking of.
I got this on Friday.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I've got an answer for that one too. But the other one is what if they stop paying rent? Right? Let's put that one down there too, just because. How many deals have you done? Yeah. Here's my answer to that one. How many deals do I have to have done for you to feel comfortable with me? That sounds like a joke. Like you're asking them, hey, how do I lie to you best here? Okay. Then I'll say, no, in all honesty, this is my first deal ever. I'm not a big company or anything. Are you trying to sell this? Wait a minute. I'm confused. Are you trying to sell this house to a big company or something? Because I'm not a big company. I mean, you want a big company? I mean, you don't hold that against me. You're not going to break my heart because I'm not a big company, are you? Okay.
I mean, that's when I told him that. When I told him that, it was like, in that case, I need 20% down. Oh. And the house was worth $500,000. It was like, I need 20% down. I said that's not going to work.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy. Yeah, he was just blowing you off. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so somewhat unmotivated.
Exactly. So,
how do we beat the biggest objections? He's going to tear up my house, and what if they stop paying rent? Because those are the big ones, man. Those are the big heavy blows. Okay, like when you're in the boxing match with them. That's the big roundhouse left that you got to look out for, right? If you're not prepared, man, the first time you hear that one, it's like, what do I do? Well, we're going to take care of it, or you try to make up some lie on the fly, and it's just hard to do. Okay, don't do it. So here's the answer that I give everyone. What if they tear up my house? What if they stop paying rent? Okay, Mr. Homeowner, I don't understand. I'm confused. That's my response. I don't understand. I'm confused. What do you mean? Well, what if let's say we're doing this and the person that you put in there, okay, because he's going to say it like that. The person you put in there after 6 months quits paying the rent, or what if they tear up the house and they leave? What's going to happen then? Am I going to have to go in there and fix all that and repair all that and all that? Am I going to have to hit all them payments? I'm confused, Mr. Homeowner. We're not talking about renters here. We're talking about people that want to buy the home. So I'm not sure we're talking about the same things here, Mr. Homeowner. No, here's the rest of the response. Here's the finale, Mr. Homeowner. We run full checks on these people. they want to buy a home. They're in a program that they've got a plan to buy a home. Okay, so they're different. But also, we'll do background checks, credit checks. We'll do the whole 9 yards. If I were to put you in the driver's seat, Mr. Homeowner, now here's the shoe is about to drop. Now, if I were to put you in the driver's seat, Mr. Homeowner, and let you be the final decision maker, and you can approve or disapprove these people after having kind of seen some of these background checks and stuff I mentioned, would that make you feel more comfortable? And could we move forward or maybe not? Okay. That's what I do. All right. That's exactly how I do it. Every single time, practically word for word. All right. So if you need to play this back a few times and pick some of these up, that's okay. But these short little pithy answers, they work. Okay. We're not working with those kinds of people. We're working with people that want to be homeowners here. Okay. They want to buy this house. So I'm a little confused, but we do run background checks and credit checks and sex offender checks, and we do an income verification. We do job verifications and all that. And so we really check these people out, and they're on a plan to be able to qualify for the loan to buy the home. So in the time frame we're talking about. So if we let you get in the driver's seat here and kind of be a part of that process, and you can approve these people or disapprove them, just so that you know exactly who's living in your house. If we do that, is that something that makes you feel more comfortable, and can we move forward, or is this over? Okay. What do you guys think of that? Is that an okay answer?
Awesome.
Is that a way out of the biggest objections ever?
Pretty good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like how you turn it around. I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
And then they have to explain themselves, and then you're able to say, "Oh
Yeah.
no, we don't deal with those people."
We're talking about apples and oranges here. I don't know
Yeah.
what we're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the biggest objections. And there's all the rent guarantee, Well, you never answered my question. If they stop paying rent, what's going to happen? Okay. I've had them come back to me later because the voodoo wore off, I've had them come back to me later in the conversation and say, well, but if they stop paying rent, what happens? Mr. Homeowner, here's stage 2. If you got somebody that's really pushing on this, stage 2 is this. Mr. Homeowner, you tell me what would happen if they stopped paying the rent over there? What would normally happen if I weren't involved? And he's going to say, well, I guess we'd have to evict them. Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to evict them then too, if that were the worst case scenario were to happen. But here's the thing, Mr. Homeowner. Even in the worst case scenario, we could totally put someone else right in there to replace them. And when we do, I'd be willing to work out something with you where I make up any payments that you had to make up when that one left. Does that make sense? And does that make things more comfortable for you, or maybe not? All right. What do you think of that? That's stage 2 of the same biggest objections, right? If they go pushy on that even further. All right. Anybody, did you catch that, or did I lull you to sleep?
Good stuff.
No, I'm just soaking it in, man.
All right. Let's talk about number 6 here. We're almost done. Then we'll jump on the phone. Oops. What's happening here? Give me my text abilities, my text powers. All right. So number 6 is negotiating down payment. Negotiating down payment. What do we do when we have a fairly motivated seller, but they want money down? Okay. What do we do? Here's the first thing that I do. don't fight them. Don't fight them. Oh, great. You want down payment. Sometimes they call it skin in the game. I want skin in the game. Okay, you want skin in the game? Okay, don't fight them. That's cool. You want skin in the game? I get it. I would too if I were you. I understand you. We relate to each other in this way. I get exactly what you're saying. Right? Okay, so don't fight them. And then ask them if they don't volunteer a number, ask them what the number is, what the dollar number is. Okay? Because right now we're talking about down payment, but we don't even have a clue what it is. Sometimes when you ask them for down payment, it's like $3,500. Oh, okay. Well, 1 month's rent. Oh, that's what you mean. A security deposit kind of thing. Oh, okay. Yeah. See, when you say down payment, though, sometimes they say down payment and you think 10, 15,000. They're surely going to ruin the deal right now. Ask them what they're talking about. What I'm sorry, I'm confused. Down payment. What do you mean? Skin in the game? What does that mean? I'm a very literal person. I need you to tell me dollars and cents here. What is it going to take? What'd you have in mind? Well, I'm going to need first month's and last month's rent. Oh, okay, great. If I were to put that in the agreement that you get first and last month's rent, does that mean we have a deal? Okay. All right. Y'all following me? Now, and then, okay, what if he comes back with something that says, oh, well, I'm going to need $30,000 down. I'm going to need 20% down. Okay. I'm not going to fight him on it, but I'm going to act like I'm going to, like you guys ever watch, what is it, Sanford and Son? Where he's like, oh, the big one's coming. Where's my pills? You know, where's my pills?
Elizabeth.
So, I'll do a little bit of that, you know. So if he comes out at like, oh, I've got 20, I'm going to need 20% down. If it's something that I can do, like it's a reasonable amount, I'll just ask him if I put it in the agreement, do we have a deal, you know? Because I'm trying to close them on that. That's fine. I'll just go with it. If it's something like this, like I need 20% or I need 30,000 down or something crazy, I'm gonna go, oh my goodness. Oh, that's a lot of that's a lot of money. I understand you want skin in the game. I understand you want down payment. I understand that. I was just thinking something a little less than that. Is there anything more reasonable we could do? Okay. All right. So that's exactly what I do. I don't fight them much. I just ask them if there's anything more reasonable we could do. And here's the amazing response I get. Sometimes they'll say, no, that's what I'm going to have. That's what the bank wants. And that's what I'm going to get to. And, oh, okay, well then you're nuts. And this phone call's over. Okay. Because that person now thinks they're the bank and stuff. And I don't know where they got that idea, but yeah. So, you know, you're going to get that response sometimes. Sometimes you get this response when you say, hey, is there anything more reasonable than the $30,000 that you just said? Sometimes you get this response. Well, I could do, you know, I don't know, 20,000 sound okay? Okay. No, it doesn't. All right. But see how they're getting weaker, right? They get weak really quickly. And here's another thing that happens. I'll ask them that question a lot. They'll come out with some really crazy high down payment amount they want from me. And I'll say something like, is there anything more reasonable we could do? That, you know, anything more reasonable you could be comfortable with? And they'll go like this. Well, I don't know. What did you have in mind? What did I have in mind? Okay, now the ball's in my court, right? Like I'm totally winning here. Shit, I was thinking about, how about 1 extra month's payment? Is that something you could be comfortable with? No? Okay, how about 2 months payments? How about 3? Okay, how about I give you $3,500 cash flat rate and then we'll just call it a day? Is that something we could do? No? Okay, now we're playing around in my realm. right? We're playing around in my realm. Sometimes you can get them down out of the clouds like that by doing that, and sometimes you can't. Okay, but you don't fight them on it at first for sure, and ask them what it is, and then just ask them if there's anything more reasonable. Okay, you want to get them down to something reasonable, and as soon as you get them down to something reasonable, you want to say this: if I put that in the agreement, does that mean we have a deal? Okay. I hope that helps. Hope that makes sense and I didn't leave out too many blanks. Yeah, is there anything more reasonable you could do? Well, once I get them to something reasonable, how do I know what's reasonable? I don't know. 5%? 5% of the purchase price? Or less? It's just kind of a ballpark, right? If I put that in the agreement, does that mean we have a deal? We do? Okay, great. Then I'll get it over to you. It's that easy, guys. So it sounds like it's complex and it's confrontational, but it's really not. It's actually one of the least confrontational parts of the whole conversation, in my opinion. Okay, number 7 here is how to stall for negotiation time or for research time. How do I stall for research time? You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay. One of the big problems is when you watch Claude Diamond and me sometimes is you get the idea that you should be doing all this in one closing call, one call, boom, 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 got the contract, analyze the property, beat down the comps, everything right there in that whole 10 minutes, locked it down. No sweat. Didn't even crack a sweat. Not true. Not true. Okay. Many times you're going to get into the conversation, get towards the closing stage of the call. You're in the closing stage of the call. You're talking about lease options. The guy seems like he's open to it. But you have no fucking clue what the house is worth or what the rent in the neighborhood is, or you just don't know. You just don't know. What do? You can't do it all right there and fill out the agreement and send it to him right there because you don't know what you're doing just yet. So you got to be able to stall for research time. When you're talking to a guy that sounds like he's going to be cool with doing this with you, but you just need some time to get it all together, you got to know how to stall them, and here's how I do it. Okay, here's the short, pithy answer for the stall. Mr. Homeowner, I love everything I'm hearing. It sounds wonderful to me, and I like you as well. Here's what I'd like to do. I would like to get off the phone and do a little research. I'm just going to be honest with them. And I would like to put an offer together and make an offer to you today. Can I do that at, pick a time that's good for you, 4 o'clock today? Can I do that at 4 o'clock? If I call you at 4 o'clock, can I make an offer? Who's going to say no? Right? At this stage, who's going to say no? If I call you at 4 o'clock, can I make an offer? Okay. Now, when I call you at 4 o'clock to make an offer, what's going to happen? Like I just totally play dumb, like I've never done it before. And when I call you at 4 o'clock, what's going to happen? Oh, usually they'll say something like this. Well, if it's a good offer, I'll do the deal. Oh, okay, that sounds great. All right, so you're not going to break my heart, are you? Okay, no. Okay, well, all right, so I'll call you at 4 and I'll make this offer. All right, I'll see you at 4. I'll talk to you at 4. Okay. It sounds, maybe even a little redundant, but it's what I find is necessary. And Here's the thing. I would say it's a 98%, it's like a 98% success rate with this. 98% of the time, they pick up the damn phone at 4:00. And the reason why is because they're so curious as to what my offer may be. How fun, right? It's like somebody gets to call me and talk to me about giving me money. Ooh. So they always pick up the phone, practically always at 4:00 or whenever I set, because I promise that I'm going to be making an offer at that time. Okay. Here's what traditional salespeople sound like, or traditional investors. Yeah, hey, I got to do some more looking at this, and if I like it, I'll just get back with you. Okay. Okay. Been nice talking to you too. All right. You have a good day. Bye bye. That person is like the bird that flew the coop, dude. Okay? You did not tie them down for diddly squat on that kind of an ending. So you've got to be able to tie them down, and you stall, you tie them down to a time to make the offer. Okay? That's how you do that. That's the short, pithy answer for that. Now, here's the last one. I said there was 7, but there's actually a bonus one here. And that is, how do you get through the paperwork to signature? Okay. Because a lot of us get down here to this part, we get paperwork together and we send it out, and then we never hear nothing back ever. Crickets. Right? Okay. So how do we get through the paperwork? If the guy is saying, yes, send me the paperwork, it's much like step number 7. Okay, Mr. Homeowner, I'll have the paperwork over to you in the next couple hours. Now, I'm going to call you today at 2:00. Is that a good time? It is. No, it's not. 4:00 is a good time. When I call you at 4:00, I want to answer any questions you have. And I want to make any changes that you think need to be made, because I'm not married to the paperwork. That's what I tell them. See, I don't want them to think that this is some kind of scam and the paper is what it is and you're signing it or you're not signing it. Okay, no, I'll make some changes to it if you feel more comfortable. If I make that change to it, does that mean we have a deal? Always be closing. Always be closing, right? So, hey, yeah, I want to make a change to this agreement. He says at 4:00 when I call him. Yeah, I want to make a change to this agreement, and I would feel more comfortable if it said something about, what would happen in the case of this and such. Oh, okay. So if I change that agreement to read that, because I totally get why you're saying that, sir. I mean, I really do. If I put that in the agreement, does that mean we have a deal and you're good to go with signing it? Okay, great. Let's do it. All right. All right. It's just like, it's not letting them off the hook, but it's definitely giving them a little bit more room to breathe here. So I'm going to send the paperwork. Let me start over. I'm going to send the paperwork over to you here over the next couple hours. And when I do, you're probably going to have some questions, and you may even see some things in it that you want to change. So I'm going to call you at 4:00. Is that a good time for me to call you? And okay, it is great. And at 4:00, I want to be able to answer any questions you may have. And I may even want to ask you a couple more questions myself. But if there's anything in there that needs to change or whatever, let's do that, because I'm not married to the paperwork. So at 4:00 today, when I call, what happens? Well, usually they'll say, well, we'll go over the document, and if it's good, we'll do it. Oh, I'm sorry, what? If it's good at 4:00, we're going to do this? Okay. Here's what most classic investors are doing. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll send you over my agreement. What's your email address? Okay, 123 homeseller@gmail.com. Okay, got it. Wonderful. Okay, you can expect an email from me in the next couple hours. My name is Justin. Okay, Sounds great. Looking forward to doing business with you. Yeah, all right. All right, bye-bye. You didn't tie him down for shit. That's a bird that just flew out of the cage, man. You let it go. You know what I mean? You don't have a tie-up time. You don't have an expiration date. You don't have a when we're meeting again on this. You don't have nothing. You don't have a promise that as soon as we work this out, we got a deal. All you got is I'm going to send you some papers and I'm never going to talk to you again. Okay? Will that still happen? Yes, it will still happen. A little bit. Okay? But you can drastically reduce that occurring by doing that short little pithy tie down. Okay? I'm going to send the paperwork to you right now. And you're probably going to have some questions. Maybe even some things need to change in it. You know, I'm cool with that. So when I call you at 4 o'clock, is that a good time? It is? Okay. So when I call you at 4, I want to answer any questions you have. Maybe you can ask me a few. I can ask you a few again, but if it's if something needs to change, we'll change it or whatever. If we can come to something that's comfortable at 4 o'clock, what happens? Man, I'm tying it down, dude. I mean, I'm just tying it tight. It's getting tight. I got a deal at 4 o'clock today or death. You know what I mean? So, like, it's tight. Like, and they know. And here's the thing. You guys need to recognize as new, I guess, or newer callers, is it feels like when you're doing these things, it's like, yeah, but Justin, it's so repetitive. You say the same things over and over. I know, but I'm good at it. See, don't feel bad about it. Get in, you know, get the rhythm of saying the same things. It's okay. The same answers work for everybody. That's why I say the same things. Okay. And then too, you got to realize that it's a necessity for you to tie them down like this. You have to. Okay. You got to turn the screw a little bit to get into the why closet. Remember we were talking about that? Like you can't just ask one question. You got to kind of dig a little deeper. You get into the why closet or find out why they want to sell. You got to do all that. It's work a little bit. You got to intentionally do it. It won't just happen. You have to intentionally guide the conversation in those ways or it won't happen. And if you don't do it, your conversation it's going to lack any oomph, and you'll be lucky if you get one. Okay. So, short, pithy statements, just get them in your minds and then practice and get them in your own words and don't worry about it too much, you know, but realize that it's important that you do it because here's what I was going to say, because your prospects, they're not that smart. Okay. All right. And I don't mean that to like I'm putting them down, but they're not that smart. All right. They don't have the focus and concentration to take a seminar from you tonight on what tenant buyers are. Right. They'll be zoned out within 6 seconds. You start that shit, it's over. Okay. I promise you that. You start that, it's over. Within 6 seconds, they have shut down. And what happens when they don't understand stuff? When you don't understand something, what's your default answer? Every time.
No.
Every time. No. Hey, you want this briefcase with me? It's $1 million in it, but I mumbled it so bad. Hey, you want this briefcase with me? No, I don't need a briefcase. See, it's $1 million fucking dollars, but they're going to say no to it because they don't understand it. Right? Okay, so you know that's exactly what these people are like. So you feel like, yeah, maybe I'm condescending to them when I'm talking to them this way or manipulating them. No, you're actually just helping them like a professional because they don't have it up here to do this themselves. They need you to do this. All right. And you need to do it to make money too. All right. So anyway, sorry, that was supposed to be 30 minutes, but it's like 55 minutes. We'll spend the next half hour making calls.
Time well spent.
Well, do you guys have any questions about any of that? Those are the 7 major areas that I find people will really, really struggle. Where are you guys on that? Or did you find 1 or 2 that maybe are struggles for you?